Good evening, everybody, and welcome to New Normal, New World. I'm with my co host, Ian. How are you?
Hi, good evening. I'm doing great. Great to see you again, Kathy.
Good to see you again. So, we're missing Carlo tonight, but that's okay. We will be kept company by our technical director, Miss Erica Chua. And we
Mm-hmm.
have tonight pala two special guests. One who is going to promote a special event for Mother's Day, and one our main guest naman. So this evening is very
That's right.
interesting. Um,
Definitely.
so let's have a recap of what happened last week.
Yep. In our last episode, which was in April 29th, we had a very special guest, the Executive Director of Child Hope, Dr. Herbert Carpio. Dr. Bert talked to us about the different programs of Child Hope, especially during the pandemic and how they had to cope. And he also shared with us some interesting facts about street children. So the episode, which is entitled "The Pandemic in the Eyes of Street Children," gave us a bird's eye as well as a close-up look about the conditions of children, street children, and exactly what the efforts are and how they've adapted to reach out to children. It also informed people of how they could help and encouraged everyone to participate in the mission of Child Hope. So that was a great episode.
Yes, exactly, Ian. It was an eye opener for us, no. That
Precisely.
kung tayo nga parang yes, it's true that we're experiencing a lot of difficulties right now,
Mhm.
uh, retrenchment at work, pay cuts and all of that. Pero yung street
Mhm.
children, lalo na, 'di ba? And they're children, they're frail, and they're experiencing really the effects of this pandemic. Um, so yeah, for those who are tuning in to us for the first time, New Normal, New World, right by our name, the title of our show, you can already guess or tell that we are delving on to topics about the pandemic and how this has affected our lives. Um, on in the coming episodes, we're actually airing every other Thursday at 8 p.m. In the upcoming episodes, we will be featuring someone who jumped from being part of the corporate world to now being a digital nomad. So she is a colleague of ours who is now permanently residing in Boracay. And then we'll ask her, her experiences, um, how her life is much better now, seeing the beach every day. and then
So much fun.
and then we'll also interview in the coming weeks Miss Jamie. I forgot her last name, but she was an ABS-CBN host of a game show during midnight. So she's a cancer survivor, and during this pandemic, she was able to write a book about her story on
Mhm.
how she battled with cancer. So
Amazing.
very interesting. So tonight, as we've mentioned, Ian, diba, we will have two guests. First
Yeah.
off is our lady who is a co-founder of the new channel. She is the ideator of Me and Mom, a special event for Mother's Day this coming. Oh, that's already on Saturday. So, hi,
Saturday.
Miss Apple. Let's bring her on screen. Hi, Miss Apple.
Good evening, Miss Apple.
Miss Apple, can you hear us? Hi.
Hi, good evening. I'm on mute. I'm sorry. I was actually working on something else.
That's okay.
Magandang gabi, Kathy.
Thanks for
With
being
me.
here with us. So, can you tell us more about this special treat of yours for moms this coming Saturday?
Yeah. So, thank you, Kathy, for having me on your show and on your channel. So on Saturday, there's going to be a one TNC year celebration. It's our first year anniversary, and as part of the first year anniversary, we're going to have an offshoot of our Kathy, yung Global Women Who Rule, and this is going to be the Me and Mom. So Kathy, ladies and gentlemen, is one of those na nag-encourage po sa akin to pursue and to continue doing other offshoot events after Global Women Who Rule. And this is the event already, which is the Me and Mom. So what is Me and Mom? So from the warmly accepted Global Women Who Rule 2021 and as part of one TNC year anniversary celebration, this is a concept that will change the way we celebrate Mother's Day. I understand kasi that Mother's Day is already finished last week. But I really hope that this coming Saturday you will have time to watch this and see how we can change the way we celebrate Mother's Day. There will be 8 mom and daughter tandems that you are actually seeing on your screen with beautiful stories. They will share how wonderful their lives have been because they are blessed with an outstanding mother. So me and my outstanding mother, or me and mom, on May 15, 2021, 1 to 3 p.m. Saturday, only on the new channel. So let's celebrate and respect women every day. And please share with us your time from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. Let's watch me and mom online.
All right.
That's
We'll
great.
definitely watch that. And congratulations on your first year anniversary, the new channel.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm really sorry. Their delivery guys sending something over here at home. And they're calling me. That's why I'm like that. I have to mute it because I can't hear him. So
That's fine. That's
Okay,
the story of our
it's
lives, Miss Apple.
it's the new
I know,
the
right?
new
I
You
know.
normal.
know,
Again, thank you so much, Kathy, and thank you
thank
so much,
you.
Anne, for having me here. I don't know if I've met Anne when we did the activity for your channel. So I
Wala
hope we can
siya. Yeah.
Wala po. Oo.
I
In
hope
the
we can
second
do
one.
more in the future. Yes, we can do more in the future. So congratulations also on your show. I
Thank
know
you.
that you have a very interesting topic tonight. I'm very interested about it also because I myself is going through the same state. So it's very
Mm.
interesting for me. Right brain and left brain. I'm actually more of a right brainer and my husband is a left brainer.
Oh, we can ask
Yeah.
our speaker about that. Nako, kung paano ba yung dynamic sa bahay, kung
Oo.
ganon. All right. Thank you so much, Miss
Thank
Apple,
you.
and we'll definitely
Thank you so
support your
much. So
event.
see you on Saturday online.
Yes,
Okay, see you
thank
online.
you.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank
Congratulations.
you, Anne.
Okay.
Thank
Be
you.
Bye.
safe. Thank you po.
Thank you. And tonight is very interesting kasi nga meron nga tayong guest. Um, the title of our episode is The Neuroscience of Managing Stress at COVID. Um, Sinabi ng speaker natin when we asked him to give us more information about himself and what he's going to talk about, he sent this. He said, when you understand how your mind works, you can actually make your mind work for you. I want to know more about
Wow.
this, Ian.
Yes, I
Instead
think
of
we all
being
need to
over,
know about that.
'di ba? Kasi Ian and I, we chat, we talk a lot. And
We
kasi
think a
that's,
lot.
we think and talk a lot. So yeah, we want to to ask our guest more about life and how we can actually overcome our challenges, our mental challenges right now. So
Especially
yes,
the stress.
mhm. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions for our guest, please type in the comment section your questions for him. So uh, our guest for tonight, he's already on screen, no? Mr. Ben Ampil is a US certified neuroscience coach and neuro-linguistic programming trainer. Good evening, Ben.
Good
Good
evening,
evening, Kath.
Ben.
Good evening, Kathy. Good evening, Anne. Your previous guest, Apple, is a classic example of work from home. Now we're going to do work from brain.
Okay, wow. All
Oh,
right.
wow. Work from
Interesting.
brain.
So paano ba yung dynamics nun, magsushoot na tayo ng question popcorn style, and the audience, please join us as well. Um, paano yung dynamics ng gano'n kung sabi ni Miss Apple, yung isa sa kanila is a right brain person and yung husband niya is the other side, the opposite side. Paano yung ma-expect natin na dynamics?
Right. This will be a long introduction to answering that question, but we'll give Neuroscience 101. Neuroscience can be understood. Everybody knows Batman. Kat, sino yung favorite mong superhero?
Wonder Woman?
Women's Day, Mother's Day. I don't pero single. Ang sino na paborito mong superhero?
Supergirl.
Oh, two. Walang gender equality. But if you want to understand neuroscience, you just remember Batman. Neuroscience is the study of the B brain, how it A acts and how it T thinks. So that's bat. So that you can manage your actions and thoughts. Our brain determines who we are. When we celebrated February 14, this year is the first Valentine's Day under quarantine. And a lot of people say that they felt heartbroken. Folks, wala pong feelings ang heart natin. Our heart just pumps blood. It is our brain that determines how we act, how we think, how we feel. Our brain determines our personality. And even myself, before I got into this, we know more about how our phones work than how our brains work. So we cannot imagine life without our phone, without Netflix, without Wi-Fi. But we live 24 by 7 with our brain without even understanding how it goes. So Batman, it's just the study of the brain. I graduated civil engineering, so hindi po ako doktor. This is just it's something that I needed to understand because I suffered from depression before, and I said might as well find solutions. And so by God's grace, I was led into certain fields like NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is the software of the brain, and neuroscience, Batman, the study of the brain and the nervous system, which is the hardware of the brain. So imagine crumpled paper. Imagine a brown bag that you crumple. That's the usual image of the brain that you would think of. Or imagine chicharong bulaklak for us Filipinos. That's the imagery of the brain. That we have the biggest that crumpled paper is called cortex. Now in the animal kingdom, all the species, all the mammals have brains, but we have the biggest cortex by volume. An elephant would have a bigger brain, but yung cortex niya, yung equivalent ng brown crumpled paper, yung chicharong bulaklak, by volume is smaller than man. So our brain, the cortex, we think with our prefrontal cortex, it's behind our forehead. And that is divided into the left and into the right. Actually, if you cross your arms, left over right, one thing you would be amazed is that left over right, the left part of your brain controls your right side of the body. That's why your right hand is actually controlled by the left side of the brain, and vice versa. So the next time you have a trivia
Doc,
for practice,
Ben, sorry. So, we can try that right now. Parang if we cross our arms,
no,
we will
it's
know.
no, it's to show that a lot of things we don't know. Our right side of the body is actually controlled by the left side of our brain. And
Okay,
that's just actually trivia that may not have some
understand.
application for now.
Okay,
So
I
the
understand.
point I'm saying is that we think all our cognitive decision making, innovation, creative is contained in our cortex, prefrontal cortex. So there are four sides of the cortex. We won't discuss that. Just the one behind your forehead is called the PFC, It is referred to as the command center of the brain. It determines how we think. Now, within that PFC, there's a left side and there's a right side. And you would notice that unless you experience an accident whereby physically one of those sides is damaged, you both have a left side and right hemisphere of the brain. That's why it's a neuromyth to think that we are left side or we are right side, right brain thinkers. We are all 100% left and right brain thinkers.
So,
Oh,
okay.
so we
So,
use
but
both.
we use both. Pero meron, di ba, right brain dominant? We use both, but
Yes,
there's a side that's more dominant.
that's
Okay.
correct. Now,
Okay.
going further into that, so yung cortex has both left and right. Kasi it would have been different if the orientation of our brain is on another way that you can say I only have a left side or a right side. But our chief executive officer, our prefrontal cortex, has equal sides of the left and the right. The
Okay.
human brain is only 2% of our total body weight. So, and if you weigh 100 pounds, your brain would weigh about 2 pounds. But
Okay.
your brain and everybody's brain is the most energy consumptive organ of the body. It
Okay.
is like 2%. The heaviest organ of our body is the skeletal system. It's about 15% of our body weight. Our brain only takes 2% of our total body weight, but it takes up 20% of all our caloric intake.
Oh,
Application. What do you take for breakfast? I do consultancy work for BPOs, and most of them take coffee for breakfast.
coffee.
Now,
Coffee is a huge business sa atin ngayon, 'di ba? And I think all
exactly.
over the world. Kasi as we age, parang may kulang na sa energy natin and we borrow from caffeine. We borrow from Coke Zero, from
Right.
soft drinks, tsaka we borrow from nahalata tuloy ko ano yung iniinom ko. And we borrow from coffee.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Ben.
So, if you only subsist on coffee, your fuel tank is very low. You would start your morning, the first part of your day, on a low uh, fuel level. So, eat a good breakfast. Another side would be sleep well. Sleep is how our brain converts our short term memory into long term memory. And also during our sleep, that is when our brain washes away all the toxins that we have accumulated during our conscious time. Trivia number two, our brain is more active when we're asleep than when we are awake. So,
Seriously.
seriously, but we don't sleep a lot. And even our sleep is not restful because of coffee, because of your gadgets. A gadget emits blue light, a laptop emits blue light, and blue light retards the production of melatonin.
Hmm.
Melatonin is the neurotransmitter chemical from the brain that makes us fall asleep. It decreases with age.
Hmm.
It is very abundant with newborn babies. That's why tulog to the max sila.
Talagang
Unlike tulog.
tulog.
Now going to the question about left and right, our left brain and our right brain, they're composed of neurons. That's just sophisticated unscrabble. A neuron is a special type of body cell that is consisting of our brain and nervous system. So our other body organs are not made up of neurons. The neurons of the left brain and the right brain are different. So we thought they were homogeneous. The
Hmm.
left neuron, the one that is responsible for logical thinking, and the
Yeah.
neurons of the right brain are different. How are they different? We said, for example, that the brain is the most energy consumptive organ of the body. The left brain decides quickly. I don't know about you, kasi when I go to our coffee shop, no plugging here, sometimes they
Uh,
take forever to decide what coffee, apat lang naman yung choices. But theoretically, coffee guilty ka, no? Theoretically, decision making, logical thinking is supposed to be easy because it is based on rote memory, on what we know. And then, so for example, you couldn't get me to eat spicy food because from memory, I don't like it. So if you ask me
Hmm.
what you want me to eat, ang bilis ng decision. I already know from rote memory, left brain, what is good, what is bad. Creativity, which
Okay.
is the right brain,
Right brain.
takes more energy. So yung left brain natin takes energy na nga, yung right brain natin takes more energy. That's why it takes a longer time to come up with a new idea than to decide on something one plus one, something that is cognitive. So the question now is, how come it's hard to be left and right? Because number one, the very design of the left brain and the right brain, magkaiba na sila. The left brain, for example, only searches within the left brain area. The right brain is global. It searches the right area and the left area. Nangangapit bahay siya. So
Hmm.
when you're thinking logically, you are dependent on your past experiences. You only check left brain. You don't go into the right brain. Whereas
Hmm.
in creativity, you search into the right area and you encroach into the left area. So it
Okay.
takes more energy and our brain is tamad.
Okay. I have a question. I have comments and questions. Ang dami ko nang na ano habang nagsasalita si Ben. Ah, so you said that yung yung heart natin, sabi mo Valentine's Day, we always refer, or the icon for Valentine's Day is the heart. But actually, it's just our pumping it just pumps, pero hindi talaga, sa brain talaga
Well,
nagagaling yung love,
Yes,
and
emotion.
feelings.
So I
yes.
love you. So dapat I love you with all of my brain. Ganun na dapat tayo pala.
It might not sell in Hallmark
Oo.
cards.
Okay. Pero when we use our emotions, then that's the right brain.
No,
If it's love.
no. We use all of our brain. All of our
Mm.
brain.
Oo.
Some of your listeners know the part of the brain called the amygdala. The amygdala is responsible for the freeze, flight, or fight instant response. It used to be identified, it's called, if you do an internet search, it's sometimes referred to as the emotional brain. Uh, Neuroscience 101, if you raise your right hand, the wrist, this part up to the base of my wrist, is called the brain stem, like your neck. It is responsible for automatic functions, the functions of the body that keep you alive. Going back to Valentine's, Kathy, you don't think about your heart pumping. Your brain stem takes care of that. You don't think of breathing. You don't think of perspiring. Everything that's automatic to keep us alive is handled by the brain stem. Now, if you close your thumb inside, this is now the limbic or the amygdala. It's called the
Mm.
response, first response, parang mga frontliners, first responders. During the early, we don't believe in evolution, but in the development of the brain, it developed from the very basic, una muna yung brainstem, and then the first responder. And then if you close it, it's now looks like the cortex, like the chicharong bulaklak. So we have the brainstem responsible for the basic functions of keeping us alive, the
Mhm.
limbic system, the amygdala responsible for our first responses to
Mm.
stimulus, and then the cortex responsible for processing. All
Okay.
of that takes increasing energy. So yung keeping us alive takes very low energy, emotion takes more energy, logic and creativity takes a lot of energy.
Okay. So, question natin, knowing all, you said the reason why you went into further studies is because you experienced depression. And right now, this topic is very timely kasi it's Mental Health Month, di ba? You told
Yes,
us. So ito nga, we want to tell our viewers, and kami mismo ni Ian, we want to learn from you. So how were you able to combat depression by what you studied?
right. Whenever you try to analyze the performance of something, there are two factors, structure and function. So for example, you want to build a car, you want to check muna meron bang engine yan, meron bang gulong, kompleto ba for it to constitute what we call a car. And then structurally, it is complete. So that's structure. Now you check for function. Yung engine niya, okay ba o palyado? yung gulong niya mayroon bang hangin. And that is where we go. So I went into the structure. Many depressions kasi sometimes are bihira yung structural, kulang sa brain. So our brain itself does not feel anything. It processes the emotions, but it does not feel anything. So if you want to prick your brain, it will not feel anything, but it processes all the stimulus or five senses. So I went into that and I said, okay naman pala yung structure ng brain ko. I had to see a neuro doctor. Now the function, how do I think? There are only six things we can do with our brain: our five senses and our self-talk. Self-talk is how we ascribe meaning to our experience. The three of us can be eating or experiencing the same thing. Right now, we're talking together, but we are ascribing different meanings to our experience. And
Right.
all those experiences and meanings are based on our previous experiences. So meron tayong hugot from the past. And all of us are unique. So the three of us would have different interpretations, different meanings that we ascribe to the very same set of circumstances. So
Mhm.
depression can either be we don't take care of our brain. For example, I realized that uh, I do not sleep properly. I used to think that I can thrive on 4 hours of sleep. So I would push myself to be more productive. Unwittingly, lack of sleep is one primary cause of depression. And because
Oh,
and because of our lifestyle now, 24 by 7 information, live streaming 24 by 7, we can now talk to our friends globally, regardless of time zones. We do not really sleep 7 to 9 hours of restful sleep.
mm,
Kung merong REM, rapid eye movement, you can see that if you have a friend sleeping, buksan mo ng konti mo para makita mo gumagalaw yung pupil. That,
yeah.
that's the
Yes.
restful sleep. And that is when you experience dreams. So if you
Oh.
sleep, you notice na, teka muna, isang buwan na ako hindi nananaginip. That is a very
Yeah.
classic sign that you are not sleeping restfully. Hindi ka
Oh
umaabot,
no. Sa
hindi ka
REM.
umaabot sa REM.
Oo.
Yeah. Ako, wala na akong panaginip. Hindi ako nananaginip. Ikaw, Ian.
From time to time, nananaginip ako.
Parang ako matagal nang wala akong na-experience na panaginip. So, ibig sabihin, I'm not reaching REM.
Yes.
So that means I should take yung, what is that? Yung medicine na
Melatonin.
melatonin. I should take that.
Yes, melatonin is a neurotransmitter. It's a chemical produced by the brain primarily to make us sleep. It reduces with age. That's
Yeah.
why the elderly, the senior people have a problem. It's a lifestyle problem. So
Okay.
uh,
It's
do
hard.
not do not take
It,
coffee, Kathy, past 6 p.m. Do
oh,
stop using your gadgets 2 hours before your planned bedtime.
okay.
Develop a
Two
habit.
hours.
Okay.
Develop a habit that you know that when you go to the bedroom, you will sleep. Practice complete darkness because most of us sleep with
Mm,
some semblance of light.
Yeah, that's right.
okay.
Oo.
Ian, meron tayong
Yep.
comment from our audience, our
Viewer.
viewers. So, Lester Narito is asking, is it true that aggressiveness would mean a smaller part of the brain and fear means a larger part of the brain?
No, brain size has nothing to do with the emotions. Um, so there was a belief before that the larger the brain, the more intelligent the creature is. But brain size has no effect on our cognitive and emotional performance. Fear is processed by the entire brain, regardless of the size, and aggression as well. There are two natural fears that we are born with. So when you encounter infants, they have two natural fears. Number one is fear of falling. So kung meron kayong bagong pamangkin na hinahagis nyo sa ere, saluhin nyo. Huwag niyong pahulugin sa fear of falling, and number two, fear of loud noises. Do not make loud noises in the presence of babies, even expectant mothers, because somehow that
Okay.
grows. Pero the brain is not yet fully developed when from
Oh,
childbirth. In fact, our cortex, our chief CEO of the brain, it is only fully developed at age 24. So that means you
Oh.
graduated from college with a not yet fully developed prefrontal cortex. That's why application, yung teenagers do not have, even adults younger than 24, do not have fully
Mm-mm.
developed left brain, right brain.
Mm-mm. I
Parents
see.
should be more empathetic to understand that structurally, they are not yet able to process life from a biological,
Mm.
physiological point of view. So be more
Mm.
empathetic to them.
So does that mean Dr. Lloyd, does that mean then na kasi yung mga 18-year-olds, they're allowed to marry already. And 'di ba love is more than yung what's that? Ano it's in your brain, right? So hindi pa fully developed. So meaning dapat sana ang legal marrying age should be 24 above.
That's a very insightful. Napaisip ako ron.
Mm.
From the point of view of from a point of view of maturity, we would
Mm.
expect that an 18-year-old would not have
Yeah.
had the life skills
Right.
uh, at 18 than a 19-year-old would have. So the more the better. So
okay.
you're balancing amount of life skills versus for the
Okay.
women reproductive capacity. You have to do a balancing act.
I
Uh,
see.
Also, arranged marriages is not the best because malilis tayo dito, Kath and Ian,
Uh-oh.
but if you think about it, marriage is ordained by God. It is the first sacrament ordained by God, Adam and Eve. But
Mm.
you imagine, my wife and I grew independently of each other until
Mm.
we got married.
Right.
So we said before that yung emotions are based on what we know, our past
Mhm,
experiences. So Kathy, you and I, Ian,
mhm.
the three of us have a unique set of experiences, which we are totally different. And then all of a sudden, we will be living together as one, as a couple, as husband and wife,
Okay.
assuming that uh, shared values. Kaya no matter how long yung pangliligaw or yung knowledge of the
Uh-oh.
other, you cannot have enough. I'm still
Yeah.
learning. My wife is watching, honey, I love you.
Oh,
Um, and
hello, Mrs.
our
Ampil.
puppies, Pom Poms and Barney. Love you both. See you later. Do not fight. My wife and I have been married for 17 years, but we are still
Oh.
to know each other. That's why, apart from God's grace, marriage is really doomed to fail because you have two unique
Mm.
individuals that grew apart at the very least for 18 years that
Uh-huh.
form their own paradigms tapos bigla mo silang i-epoxy together and force mo
Mm.
Mhm.
silang till kingdom come to thick or thin.
Mm. So it's more than kasi 'di ba sinasabi to make a marriage work, there should be communication.
Yes.
Constant communication. So more than communication, you said there should really be, God at the center of your relationship, working it out with you. Yeah.
Only because of our human nature.
Mm.
Mhm.
We
Right.
talked about the natural fears of babies, the fear of falling, and the fear of loud noises. But you do not teach a baby to lie. You do not teach a
Yeah.
baby to be selfish.
Mm.
And yet they lie, they become selfish. So
Mhm.
our human nature in the flesh, apart from God, we are really meant to look out for ourselves. Yet a
Mm.
Okay.
marriage is a union. A union,
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say to my wife, honey, I put you first. Next to God, family is my primary ministry. So
Mhm.
pinangunguna ko yan. Work is only a third ministry. So God first,
Mhm.
family, and then career. Una
Yeah.
ka, una ka, honey. So honey na. Honey, una ka, after God, you come. And next,
Okay.
Okay.
Come second.
Ben, yeah, Ben, I wanted to just mention something. Kathy mentioned about people getting married in terms of the development or maturity of the brain. I was wondering though about accountability. For example, crime. At what age would you be considered, accountable for something that you did, an offense or something that you committed? Given that the development of the brain, as you mentioned, is at age 24, as you mentioned
Yes,
earlier.
25. That's a very good question, Yan. I think, and I'm guessing, I'm stretching here, because I think civil society would put accountability as a deterrent for repetition of activities that society deems to be non-beneficial. For example, murder.
Okay.
So, regardless of what age you put, most civil societies have a different set of laws for minors and then for adults. But you have a very good point in the sense that when do you really say he is fully cognizant of what he is doing? But
Yeah.
our brain is equipped to do two things. Our ancient brain is designed to keep us alive. Our brain is not designed to keep us happy. So back to the caveman, we said in development ng brain, the brainstem responsible for our basic body functions, heart pumping, lungs breathing, perspiration, everything else, and then the limbic system, the amygdala, our reactive brain. So when we're walking on a dark street, bago mag-curfew, umuwi na po kayo bago mag-10 p.m. And then we see somebody walking behind us we don't know. Our instinct would say there's a threat. That's because during the caveman days, everything is either threat, good or bad, something that will keep them alive. They were only afraid of dinosaurs, presence of food, keeping the fire alive, and basic clothes. Modern man, for example, ang ating stress, kanina, ang signal ko sa Wi-Fi hina, hindi tayo makakonect. Stressful na sa akin yun. So, stress varies over the generations. But if you notice, Wi-Fi signal is not a life and death situation. So our brain is designed to keep us alive, and it does so by being on the lookout for threats, whether real or imagined. A real threat is a lion coming to attack me. Perceived threat is, for example, Kathy not smiling at me when I pass by her in the mall and then say galit siya sa akin. That's a perceived threat lang. So our brain processes real and imaginary threat in the same manner. And it does three things, the three Fs. It either freezes, it flights, umaalis, or it fights, freeze, flight, or fight. That's why if you are, road rage is an example of that. Ang daming nag-viral na video noong 2018, if you remember. Uh, Very professional people, a surgeon and a prosecutor, were caught in road rage situations whereby cognitively well-educated naman sila. Left brain nila okay, right brain nila okay, structurally complete naman. Pero merong nag-cut sa kanila while they were driving ng ibang tao. And then they started, something that might have been a life and death situation because cutting into their lane caused their brain to think that they're under threat and they responded in a way to defend themselves. So that's the reason why we are living under very stressful times. We have now gone through almost a year and a half of COVID. We have the longest lockdown in the entire world. The Philippines. Hindi pa tayo nag-lift ng quarantine ever since March 15, 2020. The other
That's
countries that
that's
lift,
right.
sa atin, we have the longest quarantine.
Oh.
Imagine the World Health Organization and the United Nations said that everybody have experienced trauma greater than those who have lived through World War II. The three of
Mm,
us and none of our audience were alive during World War II.
mm,
But World War II was a localized threat. If you were not part of the World War II, we were part because we were
mm,
colonists then. But if you were a country na hindi kasama ron sa game called World War II, you could live your life normally.
mm,
With rich and poor, we all have the same threats. So
mm.
same threat
Oh,
creates a chronic trauma. Kathy, go ahead.
okay. Talking about trauma, we have a question from Lester Narito. How do you unlearn an experience? So I'm thinking here, bad experience or a trauma.
Yes. I would ask Lester, thank you for your question. We will go into a realm of neuro-linguistic programming. We were discussing neuroscience before. Neuro-linguistic programming is just the language of the brain. Ian, can I take you as an example?
Yes, sure.
Yes, yeah. Ian, imagine without telling me and the rest of your 1 billion audience globally, imagine something you're afraid of. Do not tell me what it is.
Okay.
Now imagine that fearful object in your brain, in your mind, calibrate fear 1 to 10. 10 being you're really very afraid. 0, 1 being okay lang.
Um, 8.
8. Now, Kathy, if you notice, I did not prompt Ian into imagining whether in color or black and white. Ian, wherever you are, imagine that object that causes fear that you have rated at a fear level of 8 out of 10.
Mhm.
Put it in your hand.
Okay.
Ian, put it in your hand.
Okay.
Ian, I charge high for coaching, so this is for free. And then Ian, work with me. Throw it as far as you can. Throw it as far as you can. Go. So I would imagine umabot kay
Nasalo
Kat.
ko. Nasalo ko.
So I understand Ian that you're in your friend's house. So imagine
Yeah.
dumikit dun sa farthest point of the room that you're at.
Okay.
Dumikit siya and dumikit siya since malayo siya, maliit siya, hindi mo na siya
Oh,
makita pero alam mong nandun pa siya.
uh-oh.
Calibrate. Calibrate
Okay.
fear. 1 to 10. As
3.
it is now. Kathy, what happened? She was at 8 kanina and now it's 3. Uh, NLP says proximity, closeness, magnifies an experience. Kathy, ikaw naman. Kathy, imagine your favorite food.
Dami. Okay.
Okay, calibrate. What emotion do you feel when you imagine or you're experiencing your favorite food?
So
What?
happy.
Okay, calibrate happiness with your imagined favorite food. 1 to 10. 10 being yes.
10.
All right, Kathy, imagine that favorite food and similar to Ian. Ian, I didn't prompt you and I didn't prompt
Mm.
Kathy. Imagine that food in front of you
Okay.
in vivid color,
Mm.
colorful, with aroma. You can smell it.
Mm.
Okay, calibrate happiness. You can
10.
you can go further.
11.
So imagine if you do now do this.
11.
11. Imagine that food in front of you in black and white, same distance, but now it is not in color. It is in black and white. It is blurred and it looks like plastic. Calibrate.
6.
So, Ian and Kath and Lester, how you code, how you structure your five senses. In the case of Ian, it's just location, visual.
Okay.
I Yung very first imagination mo, I didn't even ask how it was. Yung eight,
Uh,
I didn't ask you, did you imagine the fear to be near you or away from you,
oh,
clear
that's right.
or blurred, di ba? Sinabi mo lang eight.
Yes.
If you bring something closer, if you bring a fear closer, it magnifies itself. If you bring something vivid and in color, it magnifies itself. Application, Lester, make that fear away, distant from you, and make it as blurred and as black and white as possible. So application, if you want to feel confident, remember a confident time you experienced and then make it close. Example, I am a public speaker, a motivational speaker by profession. Apart from sharing publicly that I had depression, and I'm saying that in order to make depression not something to be a stigma to fear, we need to help one another. Folks, I was in an elocution contest when I was grade 4. I peed in my pants. I was doing elocution contest and I was so nervous I peed in my pants. So imagine the trauma of standing speaking before people. I had to overcome that, similar to the question of Lester, so that now, pre-COVID, I would speak in SMX MOA to a 10,000 crowd, and I don't pee anymore in my pants. So
Right.
the point I'm saying is our emotions are actually, remember we started with structure and function, assuming that all of us have fully functional, fully structured brains, wala tayong brain damage. We now go to the function part. You and I can control how we assign meaning to our experiences simply by the choice of how we code our experience. If you code an experience in color, it magnifies the experience. So if you have a bad experience, do not magnify it in your mind, in your memory. Whenever you think about it in black and white.
Okay.
So do an experience. If you have an object, in my case, I have a pen. It's color blue. I'm looking at it, then I will say black, black, black. What I'm doing is I'm making the power of changing an emotional coding from blue reality to black. And if you make something from colored to black, nawawalan siya ng power. Reverse natin. If, for example, you have somebody who feels insecure, who feels unloved. So you ask that person, um, what emotion do you want to feel? Sabihin, I want to feel love. Can you remember a time in your life when you felt love? Oh, isa lang. 37 na ako, pero isa lang yung memory ko. Ano yun? When I was 11, my lolo embraced me when our pet was hit by a car. Imagine that experience. No matter how small, you can magnify it. Imagine your lolo as big as a building. Imagine your lolo embracing you, right? And imagine your lolo's voice saying, Anak, I love you. Big, loud, with timbre. And you can feel your emotion magnifying.
Okay.
The point we're saying is we only have six things we can do with our brain. Our five senses, which is a given. Kathy, your background is beige. Ian, your background is white. I'm in a blue room. Guys, if you want, color influences your brain. If you want to be in attention, use color red. If you want to be hungry, you want to have appetite, use yellow. That's why you can think of some restaurants now painting nila yellow. If you want to be creative, use blue. So that's the reason for the blue room. So,
Okay.
daming impact.
Okay.
So, the five senses are all givens. Red, this is a blue pen, given yon. But
Mhm.
I will now ascribe by self-talk saying that blue, I will remember it as black and blurred for my own purposes because it makes me less fearful of it. I remember the good times, honey. I'm talking about you. I remember our good times together, magnified. My wife near me, we're embracing each other, we're talking together, and I
Mhm.
etch those memories deeply in my mind. Lester, you can do the same. Grab on to the good memories. Kasi para tayong cow, Kat, before when we can drive, ano napapansin niyo sa kalabaw? Yung nasa bukid. Kung mag-chew ang tagal,
Tagal. Mm.
it regurgitates yung memory. It keeps on thinking about the memory. It loops the memory over and over and over. Walang katapusan. Do not regurgitate unresourceful and non-beneficial memories. We all have memories of pain. We all have memories of failure. Let it pass by. Pag dumating siya, black. And it will become a habit that you can now negate bad memories. I'm not saying forget. Learn from it. But do not let them haunt you. We have all committed mistakes. I have done so many mistakes in my life. By the Lord's grace, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ forgave me of all my sins. Yun ang pinangahawakan ko. Do I still make mistakes? Ask my wife every day, yes. But I just claim on to that fact. So, Lester, to everybody who have the same questions, we all make mistakes. Use your brain to benefit you. Kathy, you were asking about love kanina. I love you with all my brain. Yes. You cannot love others unless you love yourself. And if you keep on regurgitating negative experiences, the way you value yourself, your self-worth will be negative. And how can you love somebody? How can I love my wife if my self-worth is deficient? So I learn from the lessons, I learn from my mistakes so I don't do them again. I try to understand what behaviors I have that irritates my wife so I don't repeat them again. And then the good memories I try to magnify. So let's regurgitate, let's focus on the right things.
Regurgitate.
Pang
Interesting.
Scrabble, triple word. Pag may
Oo
Q.
nga eh. Pwede bang ano na lang, think or mas
Remember.
remember,
Remember,
easier to spell. Joke lang. Last question. So is ito na tanong na sa akin, is multitasking really possible or kaya ba talaga ng brain natin ang multitasking?
in terms of capability, yes. Uh, you and I, uh, we can think of so many things right now. Kathy, Ian, think of a number. Don't tell me. Okay? And then think of an animal. Don't tell me.
Okay.
Okay? Now think of a food. Don't tell me. Now, yung number, madali pa eh. Pag dumating na yung animal, medyo mahirap na siyang i-remember, think, regurgitate clearly. The more elements you put in your mind screen, the harder it is to manage. On a physiological point of view, to your question, Kathy, it's a neuromyth because our brain, as we said, is energy hungry. So attention is a very expensive currency. You can show the number one way I can show my wife I love her is I give her attention. If she's talking to me and I'm doing my emails on my phone, anong klase yun? So if she says, "Honey, let's talk. I need to get something off my chest." Undivided attention. Attention cost requires energy from our brain. So if you're thinking of the number, you give attention to that number. Now I said, think of an animal. You're now dividing your attention. You're putting in energy. Similar to starting a car. The most fuel is engaged when you start the car. So when you think of a number, you start the car. When you think of another thing that you're multitasking, papatay mo muna yung engine, you go to the second activity, then you start the car again. So the once you start the car, you invest energy. And when you go back to activity A, you don't pick up where you left off. You have to start the car again and go back to the learning curve. Studies have shown that productivity diminishes by 40% if we attempt multitasking.
Okay.
Best just finish your task and then move on to another task.
Okay. I think that's very helpful advice, especially for us who are working from home. Kasi, di ba, in between, sinisingit natin yung cooking, yung washing of
Cleaning.
clothes, cleaning. So talagang we're multitasking. Nakakalito kasi you see it dito sa ano mo eh, it's near you. Oo. It's within the close range, yung what you need to do. So mababother ka parang, talagang yung highlighted ngayon yung multitasking for us in this pandemic. So I want, in closing, meron kang advice sa atin. Sabi mo nga kasi lack of sleep causes depression. And you told us kanina before we started, yung acronym na selfish.
Yes. Before that, I'd like to share a verse, Psalm 20, verse 7. Some people put their trust in chariots and some in horses. We put our trust in the name of the Lord our God. In the Old Testament, the nations which had chariots and horses were deemed to be strong. Doon nila nilalagay yung kanilang security. With COVID, it's the great equalizer. Rich and poor were all susceptible to COVID. We know of rich people dying, we know of poor people dying. No one's immune from COVID. So we don't put our trust in chariots, horses, our abilities, our wealth, our fame. We put our hope in the name of the Lord our God. Only God can take us away from COVID and from the next pandemic that may come after COVID, because life is actually just a series of challenges until we go to our next destination. So in order to keep our brain structurally and functionally well, remember the acronym SELFISH. Selfish was just an acronym. It's not a behavior that I am encouraging. S stands for sleep. We all need 7 to 9 hours of restful sleep. The ones with REM, rapid eye movement, you will know that if you're dreaming. So if you're dreaming, you know that your sleep has reached the level of restful sleep. E is for exercise. We are locked in because of quarantine. Our mobility is restricted, but there are a lot of videos on YouTube when you can do a range of exercises from strength to flexibility to endurance. And then L is laugh. We have problems, big problems, but there, if we keep on watching depressing things, if we keep on watching the news, we will just be depressed. Watch funny movies. I watch comedies on Netflix just to take my mind off. F is for food. Yung pong right food. The right food for a healthy brain is the Mediterranean diet. So parang Japanese rich in omega-3, right food. I is invest in learning. COVID has made a lot of universities like Harvard, Yale, offer their online courses for free. Invest in learning. Take it while it's still available for free. The second S is sunlight. We try to get sunlight even though we're in quarantine. I live in a condominium, so if I have to, I step off into the balcony so I can be exposed to sunlight. And then H is help others. No matter how big a problem that you're in, folks, meron pong mas mabigat pang problema sa atin. Help others. When we help others, our brain releases happy neurotransmitters that makes us feel rewarded. So selfish, S is sleep. Make sure you sleep 7 to 8 restful hours. E is exercise. Exercise regularly. L is laugh. Sabi po nila, an infant, a young child laughs 300 times a day. An adult laughs zero point 0.7 times a day. We have lost our laughter as we grow older. Let's regain it. And then F is food, the right kind of food. Even if we're doing online grocery, let's choose good eating. Mental health is just not what we put in our brain. What we ingest also affects how we think, affects our brain. And then uh, S is sunlight, expose ourselves to the sun, and then H is help others, selfish. Kathy, Ian, back to you.
So yeah,
Thank you
beautiful,
so much
beautiful
for that.
advice. There's someone who texted me in closing. Humaba na tayo, but it's very
Oh,
interesting. We should really have
follow up
another
after this.
episode,
Yeah.
follow-up episode. So someone texted me kanina. He said na, so could it be that our faith is just a figment of our imagination? Kasi we can actually control our brains. What is your take on that?
That will require another session because
Mm,
the Bible says faith is a gift from God. And I believe in the Bible,
mhm.
100%. I didn't
Okay.
write, but I trust the author of the Bible. So the
Yeah.
author said faith is a gift from God. So it's external. So it is not resident from birth. From our bodies are fallen bodies. We are in our sinful nature. That's why we do all the crazy things we're doing. So faith in and by itself is actually an external supernatural thing. Now free will, John 3:16 said, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whosoever believes in him," that whosoever, that's you and I using our brain, left and right brain, the most energy consumptive organ of our body, which he designed, perfect design. So we have a cognitive, a logical, a personal decision to make. Friends, I used to be depressed. I did when I was doing a poetry reading in public. I have made many mistakes, but my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ died for my sins, and I have accepted that as full payment for my sins, past, present, and future. And imagine how liberating that can be. That invitation is open to you. So, to your question, Kathy, faith is external. It is a gift from God. We accept believing is internal, our response to that gift of free life in Him. And it is open to me, it's open to you, Ian, and to everybody else.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ben, for
Thank you,
guesting
Ben.
tonight. And we'll
Thank you.
definitely have you back here on New Normal New World. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
God
Absolutely.
bless
Thank you so
you.
Thanks to
much. Take
everybody.
care.
God bless you. Thank you. Regards to your wife and your babies.
Pom Poms Barney and my wife Marivic. Honey,
Yes.
I'll see you soon in 1 minute. I love you. Bye bye.
Okay. So there. So what is our takeaway? I'll go first.
Sige.
In support of what Ben said, yun nga
Mhm.
yung na-receive ko na text from my friend. Um,
Mhm.
sa akin kasi kumbaga, in addition to what he said, someone must have designed all of these complex things. Yung brain natin, sino gumawa nun, 'di ba? Sino yung nag-create nun? And that's definitely God. So when we lack faith, when we doubt the existence of God, just look at yourselves. Look at your palm, look at nature. It's so complex. God created all of these. There is really a God. Yeah. And that's my takeaway.
Awesome. Ako simply din lang. In these extraordinary times where everything is new because everything is it's a new a new stress or a new new world. Um, this is a reminder for us to again be to know and be aware that we have an extraordinary gift, which is our minds, our ability and our capacity to overcome simply through looking inside. We look so much at what's outside us when all we need is to look inside ourselves. To look at our brains and to think and to remember all the good things, all the blessings, and that will get us through everything that we're going through. So that's my takeaway.
Amen. Thank you, Ian. And before we end, nakalimutan natin i-promote. Can you flash this, Erica? If nabitin kayo dun sa shinare ni Ben, kasi kulang yung time, he has this event, the Neuroscience of Managing Stress at COVID, on May 29 at 10 a.m. Saturday. I believe sa Victory to eh. Ben, are you still backstage? Can you tell us kung saan ito gagawin? Definitely this is online. Are you still there, Ben? Wala na siya. Just check out community teams and you'll be able to find out more about this. So again, thank you so much, everybody. God bless
Thank
you,
you,
and please
everyone.
do not miss the event of the new channel on Saturday at 1 o'clock. So,
There.
so there. God bless you.
Okay,
Thank you
take care,
so
everyone.
much.
Stay well.
Take care.
Bye bye.
We are your hosts and volunteers for Sustainable PH, your community for sustainable living.
We would like to help raise awareness
For sustainability.
and how we can all benefit from it.
Join us.
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 Come, join us.